Hello and welcome to this week's Wellness, Wealth and Mindset Weekly, personal lessons and experiences from my past week. So let's get straight in to today's episode. So health-wise, in today's fast-paced world, I'm becoming increasingly concerned with encountering instances where people neglect the need for rest. And often it seems that individuals believe that they can only make progress in life if their training or their work is constantly, say, pushing themselves to the limit. And however this might be true, the opposite is true. Without significant rest, the body and mind cannot recover and replenish themselves. So this week I encountered actually two examples of this phenomenon. The first was a young lady who got 8 hours of good quality sleep each night and exercised regularly, but still felt tired throughout the day. The second was a retired gentleman who enjoyed cycling, but still felt exhausted after each ride. And in both cases, I questioned the amount of rest they were getting and the intensity of their training. As it turned out, both individuals were training intensely each time they exercised. The young lady pushed herself with HIIT-style workouts, while the retired gentleman tackled hilly climbs that pushed him to his limit as he tried to conquer the hills as quickly as he possibly could. As a result, I advised them to watch out for signs of overtraining, such as prolonged fatigue, increased tension, depression, anger or confusion, inability to relax, poor quality sleep, lack of energy, decreased motivation, moodiness, and even diminished enjoyment of the activities that they once found pleasurable. And if they experience even one of these symptoms, it would indicate that they were either already overtraining or on the path to develop the problem. So therefore, my recommendation for both individuals were to reduce the intensity of their training and make sure they include at least 1 or 2 rest days per week to aid recovery. And this approach will certainly help them manage their fatigue better throughout the week and enable them to train consistently throughout the year without suffering from overtraining or the need to take any significant time off. So to achieve this, I suggested that they would make the majority of their weekly workouts, around 80%, were going to be low to moderate intensity workouts, with the remainder, around 20%, being moderate to high intensity. And by adopting this strategy, they could focus on more high quality workouts, hard workouts for maximum progress, while still building a good aerobic base around their strength endurance with little or no additional cost to fatigue levels throughout the week. And I think this is a really important message this week when it comes to health, because I encounter this all the time, and certainly it's drummed into us in society that we always have to push hard, where being consistent with building a bigger aerobic base has been shown to have a bigger increase in your red blood cells, increases mitochondria, which helps deliver oxygen to your muscles while you're working out. And over time, while it'll be a slow burn, you will see increases in your overall fitness based by doing more aerobic conditioning rather than doing hard intensity interval training too often. So save those intervals for once or twice a week to maximize the benefits from those, and the majority of your week, at least 3 or 4 sessions a week, should be your aerobic based conditioning. So take those advice this week. Let me know also if you're struggling with any recovery or you're training too hard in the comments. Wealth wise this week, as someone who takes great pride in my health and spends a lot of money on looking after it, it does amaze me how many people don't. And you've probably seen the quote, health is wealth, but for most of what I see in society around me, I do question how many actually take that quote seriously. And it's really interesting when it comes to looking after your body and how much you invest in that, because probably a lot of us would probably spend a majority of that disposable income, for example, on spending money on a nice car, looking after it, maybe a nice holiday, some DIY within the house to make our house look nice furniture. However, we might question maybe spending that extra money on ourselves. So that could be a supplement that could support your immune system, could be a gym membership that is a little bit more expensive, so you can actually have an opportunity to use it regularly, have a spa in there, stuff that's going to improve your overall physical and mental well-being. Sometimes we look at that as a cost, and also in a lot of factors when it comes to working in the health industry, health as a bonus or a benefit for employees is probably one of the first things people remove when it comes to tighten their belts, when it comes to cost saving strategies. And this is really interesting because the opposite is true. The more money you actually invest in people's health, the more you actually invest in your health and well-being, both mentally and physically, you're going to be a more productive and healthier individual, which will then be able to provide you with more money. And what I mean by that is that for every pound a company, for example, invests in someone's well-being, on average, research has shown you get £4 back. So that means they're more productive. They're taking less days during the year, so you're not paying them to be off sick. They're taking less sick days for mental health well-being or mental health issues. So again, less money that you have to cover the cost of them not being in work. They're more likely to stay with the company for longer because they feel valued and appreciated. So again, you're spending less money on recruitment and trying to get advertising to get that space filled if that person leaves. So overall, it's a win-win for everybody. The person is healthier, fitter, more productive, less stressed, more appreciated, and the company, by having someone who is more mentally and physically able to do a job more efficiently, is going to get the benefits because they're going to be more productive and produce better quality of work and more efficient work because of their ability to do so, because they're looking after their health. So it really amazes me how, even if it's not a company providing you with solutions to support your mental well-being, what things could you invest in to support your own well-being, to make things easier for you going forward? Is it worth having a massage once a month just to relax and unwind? Is it worth spending money seeing a physio or a chiropractor privately if you've got any back issues that might be debilitating to your day-to-day activities? Because if that's causing you physical pain consistently, obviously that's going to impact your ability to show up well at work. Your mind and mindset's going to be taxed and stressed because you're not feeling your best. So again, your mindset will be shifted from being productive on the job and focusing on trying to get over the pain and discomfort you're in. So isn't it worth spending that extra bit of money on a physio to get something fixed really quickly, as opposed to maybe waiting for someone else to fix it, or in the UK, the NHS, accessing free healthcare, which generally is quite stretched, and accessing that quickly is really challenging. So that's just going to prolong your discomfort. So have a think about it this week when it comes to wealth. Your health is wealth. So how much do you invest in looking after your health in order to support your well-being? And essentially that's going to allow you to work harder, make more money, be more productive, etc. So the cost benefit certainly is going to weigh in your favor the more active and healthy you are. For example, if you're self-employed and you don't get any holiday pay, surely looking after your health should be number one, because any time off sick, you're not going to get paid for it. So if you're not working, you're not getting paid. Where if you're able to work and you're able to work daily, obviously take those days off when you need to, but by not having a day off, you're always going to have that ability to earn more money, etc., because you're looking after your well-being. So it's really, really vital that you focus on that, and that way you'll get the cost benefit back. So let me know your thoughts when it comes to how much do you invest in your health when it comes to money and looking after your well-being. Do you scrimp and save? Is spending money on your health a priority that's further down the list when it comes to your spending habits? Or would you say it's higher up on your list when it comes to your spending habits? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, or send me a message over on Instagram. I'd love to know your thoughts on how much you invest on your health this week. And finally, in the world of mindset this week, I've gone back to reading Essentialism. I'm still finishing the book. It does take me a long time sometimes to read a book. Sometimes I get through a book really quickly. Other times with distractions, I might not get through it as quickly. But to get into the point, there's a really interesting section in the book Essentialism, where it's talking about managing time and stress. And I'm really passionate about this, and it's something that I really, really focus on when it comes to managing my time. And it was really good in terms of how the book highlighted the increase in stress by how people manage their time well or manage their time poorly. And in this instant, for example, it had an example of a lady trying to get to work. She was late. She was a bit stressed. She got caught up in traffic. Again, that increased her stress even more. And then by the time she got to work, the whole day was just catching up with herself. Well, the other example is someone could leave really early, and that could be just adding an extra 50%, he mentioned in the book, to the time you allowed initially. So if you, for example, have a task that you say is going to take you an hour, add 50% to that, because generally we underestimate how long that task is going to take us. So allow an hour and a half rather than an hour. So for example, if you're getting to work and it's going to take you 20 minutes, half an hour on a good day with very little traffic, then allow another 15 minutes on top of that, 45 minutes, just to be sure that you're going to get there on time, and that can allow for any traffic, any accidents, anything that's going to hold you up on your way to work. And by doing so, you just give yourself a buffer, a time buffer that allows you to relax. Sitting in traffic, if you are a bit late, you weren't going to be as late as you would be if you were leaving dead on the exact amount of time it's going to take you to get there. So if it's going to take you half an hour and you're going to have to be in work on the dot at 9 o'clock and you leave at 8:30, it's a very short window and you need everything to go exactly to plan in order to get there on time. Where if you give yourself that buffer, you're allowing yourself those moments that you have no control over to manage your time and get there on time if you are maybe held up for whatever reason. And this is really interesting because I think by doing so, you're just going to have a more relaxed mindset in terms of how you go about organizing your time when it comes to meetings at work, getting kids to play group, after school activities, or even getting to work yourself, or going on holiday and getting to the airport, etc. Allowing yourself that buffer and preparing yourself, like preparing all your kit the day before. So if you're going anywhere, have your work bag ready the night before so you can just get up and go. All these little things that you can do just to save time in the morning will just allow you to be less stressed when it comes to managing your data activities each day. And in doing so, your life will be easier, and that also frees up more mental clarity and space in your brain to really focus on the task at hand, the task of getting to work, or the task of taking the kids to playgroup, or getting to the airport on time. You have freedom in your mind to relax, that you're going to get there on time. You can start thinking about enjoying that process of the journey and maybe the holiday that's to come, for example, without being overly stressed that you're going to miss the plane or be late for work and just have a flustered day because everything feels like it's not going your way. But essentially it's not going your way because you haven't planned for those buffers that we have to understand that we have no control over. So really good point that was mentioned in the book Essentialism. If you haven't read it, I'll post the link to the book in the show notes. So if you do want to check it out, I highly recommend it. Nearly end of the book now. So any more highlights from the book that I might share in the coming weeks, I'll certainly share with you on each podcast, newsletter and YouTube show. But that just rounds up this week's Wellness, Wealth and Mindset Weekly. Hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Thank you very much for listening and being a loyal subscriber. If you haven't lent us a review over on iTunes, then I'd love you to do so. That'd be amazing to help out the podcast and get it out to more people. And also, if you want this in a newsletter form, then obviously click the link in the show notes or the description to this video, where you can get the link directed to your inbox in newsletter form, where you get access to the podcast and YouTube show every week, alongside added bonuses that we might be putting out on a weekly basis going forward. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week.